Okay. The Executive and Finance Committee's meeting's called to order at 4:50. And Chuck, would you give a invocation, please?
Lord, we thank you for this day. We ask you to give us guidance and help us gain wisdom through these deliberations. Help us demonstrate goodwill towards each other and help us remember your will and help us all bring peace to this world. In your name we pray.
Roll call.
Bill Angren.
Here.
Bill John Baker.
Here.
Jack Baker.
Here.
Connor Glory Jordan. Present. Joe Crittenden.
Here.
Meredith Fraley. Don Garvin. Chuck Hoskin Jr.
Here.
Brad Cobb. Julia Coates. Chris Soap. Jody Fishenhawk. Curtis Snell.
Here.
Harley Buzzard.
Here.
David Thornton. Kara Karen Watts.
Honey.
Janelle Fulbright. Here.
Mary Freddie.
Okay, we have a quorum. Next, I call for the approval of the minutes. First, to the July 26th.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to move to approve with amendments.
Okay. You have
Okay, and the amendments are as follows. In the community assistance, the $500 that I'm providing here at Callan Watts is for the Will Rogers Library there in Claremore for the Claremore Reads Together program. That is missing. Then, and I confirmed this with our secretary. And then the $600 that's split between Jackie Bob Martin and Joe Crittenden is for Robert Lee Patron, if I remember, is that correct? And it's higher education assistant.
Okay.
And Buell Langlois seconded.
Okay. Are there any other additions or corrections? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Next, we have July 17th meeting,
That's it.
or for the Employment Committee.
Move to approve.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Because we're approving the Employment Committee since it's been rolled into the Executive and Finance Committee. Okay. Have the Cherokee certifications.
Move to approve.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Abstain. Okay. Wonderful. Next, we have the reports.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to either have them submitted in writing or limit discussion to 2 minutes each on the reports. Those still intended.
Okay. Motion's been made and seconded that either submit it in writing or limit it to 2 minutes. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Kelly, you would?
Where's the camera?
You have your financial statements that should have been in your package. If anybody has any questions, I can answer them, or if you have questions, always feel free to email me. We're gearing up for year end, only 30 days until the end of the fiscal year, so we're a little busy over in our department. And gearing up for budget hearings.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're looking forward to hearing our budget hearings.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Kelly. Cherokee Nation Enterprises, Sean Slayton.
Yes, sir. I can be less than 3 minutes. My name is Sean Slayton, Senior Vice President, Chief Financial Officer at Cherokee Nation Enterprise. For those that don't know me, also present today is Don Labasse. Don's our Chief Accounting Officer. He has responsibility of all the accounting functions throughout the company for C&E. And just like to say we're anxious to serve the new council and appreciated everybody's cooperation in the past. You can always reach me by cell or email if you have a question. Submitted a written report, and if there are questions, you can give me a call.
Appreciate it, Sean. And I do appreciate all of your waiting for us today. Next, Cherokee Nation Industries, Dennis McLemore.
Good evening. This evening. Yeah. And Dennis McLemore, Director of Finance for Cherokee Nation Industries. And pleased that our CEO was over kind of went over the business, but this is the business that's located in Stillwell, Oklahoma, and it's the manufacturing, distribution, including staffing. So it's the manufacturing industrial side of the Cherokee Nation group of enterprises. Our year has been extended, but for June 30th was previous to our year end, and at that period of time we had ended the year with $111 million worth of sales. Our profit was 2.2 from operations. However, there will be some adjusting entries. We'll still have a profitability of around 1.7 for that government period of time. We have a loan from C&D for $50 million, and they're operating off of that. We have no other loans other than a loan for some inventory. Other than that, and there's a written report, and there's also I have a little brief synopsis that I can email. It has my email address and phone numbers, and I'll email that to the secretary.
Okay.
Questions?
Any questions? Thanks, Dennis. Historical Society, Carrie Tillett.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I will try to be very brief. Have basically some positive news to report. As of the end of July, the Heritage Center has served significantly more people than we did at the same time in 2006. We're up, unofficially, I'm still working out the numbers, it looks like we're up about 40% in people served. So that's really getting our mission out there. And regular admission income is still down slightly. We're up in both group tours and programs. So if you combine all of them, we're up in the various admission incomes for the year. So that's positive. And I'm pleased to report that because the summer has been so positive that we've been making significant progress on the long-term debt. And in August, we paid off one of those notes to Bank of America. So we continue to pay off the Bank of Oklahoma, and we're real excited about it. And then just as a closing note, I'd just like to remind you the Homecoming Art Show is still up, featuring Cherokee-only artists. And this is a wonderful show with some spectacular pieces. And then this weekend, we are expecting thousands of people out at the Heritage Center, and I hope y'all are among them. So thank you.
Thanks, Carrie. Any questions of Carrie? Appreciate it. Thank you. Next, Cherokee Nation Businesses, Brad Carson, and he was with us on the Rules Committee earlier, said he would not be able to be here for this. Next, we have Career Services and Employment, Diane Kelly.
Thank you. We have a job fair that's going to be starting tomorrow over at the Health Conference Room. It will run through tomorrow and Saturday. It'll be for the Cherokee entities. We've been working with the URT group out of Adair County. We met with them this week to help. We're going to be the lead agency and help them to recruit for their business. They'll be breaking ground in December, probably starting recruitment about 3 weeks after that. Over in Adair County, they're going to employ around 265 people. Joe, you were over there. County commissioners were over there. We also are still meeting with Brad Carson, Ann and I, myself, doing a lot of coordination with Cherokee businesses. We'll be meeting with them again here in the next 3 or 4 weeks to work on who takes the lead role on various things from economic development to partnering with outside entities. Gatorade, that's up in Meredith area. Gatorade notified us the day before yesterday that they are no longer taking any applications. They'll start back up again probably sometime in the fall. So if you get any calls about us making referrals, they have put a halt. They've got enough applications right now that they need to weed through. We'll also be working with Google when they start working on the recruitment up there. Got a lot of staff, Nettie Dethridge, just running around like a chicken with her head cut off, working on OJT contracts with some of these businesses. I will be referring some of my stuff to Kim Carroll. When you all moved employment in with executive finance, I'm on the EODD board in Muskogee, and I have a meeting the same time that this meets, and I have a CDBG grant that I have to go over and help defend tonight. So sometimes I may not be here, so I'm going to have to send someone in my place, and it will probably be Kim Carroll back here. She'll also be here to talk about the resolution that we have on 102477, and John Overacker is with our Carroll office. So one of those two will be in here. So if you don't see me, it's because I'm in another meeting in Muskogee. Any questions?
Any questions for Diane?
Well, this is
Okay.
900-something thousand for the AERT business. That's a priority tonight.
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
Thanks, Diane. Next is Commerce and a Night.
I have a written report here that I'll pass around. One is our activity report, and Councilman Hoskins, it does include the loan breakdowns that you had asked for. And the Tarot report, the percentages of procurement opportunities that are awarded to Tarot vendors. And if you have any questions about anything in the report, please feel free to contact me.
Any questions of Anna? Thanks, Anna. Okay, next are community assistance day.
Mr. Chairman, there are no other community assistance requests beyond the list that was sent out in your packets.
Yes.
Chair,
Ms. Watt.
I have a question of one community organization. I believe the representative's here too, so I needed a lawyer for here. Do you have, this is now directed towards Raymond Van, do you have either federal or state nonprofit status? Because it can't be located. I've had constituents concerned about it. So before we issue any checks, I'd like a copy of that and your last 2 years of audits too. Because there was also questions about how the money has been spent and how it will be spent. So we were looking for more documentation beyond that, because I won't bring it up maybe in a public forum, but there's questions about, I won't bring names, but there was questions about capping teeth and some other stuff for folks after this body had declined to do so, and they want to know what the money's being spent on because it's theirs. So, and I believe Mr. Hembry is there to follow up with you, and that would be prior to I won't spending any money until this information is provided.
I will be in contact with Mr. Van to get all the documentation that you've requested and will
Thank you.
Okay.
I have one point
Yes.
of clarification. Did she catch my abstention on the Turo certification? Okay.
Okay. Community assistance that's in your packet. You have,
So I'd like to move to approve with the exception of War Ponies money would be withheld until proper information is provided as requested.
is there a second? Seconding. Any discussion? And all in favor say aye. Oh,
Aye.
excuse me.
Clarification. If this is not passed today, can it be passed next month?
Well, I'm sitting here looking at the request,
I mean, it's already,
and I'm just wondering if it's not, I think this is an instance where Dr. Cobb brought up in the orientation where checks can be issued before this body gets a chance to
That check has
vote
been paid,
consent.
I
So
think.
has this one been
I
issued?
don't think that one has been issued yet.
Okay.
And even if so, we
It has
can
an
have
August
the check
6th
out.
date on it.
Mr. Embry?
That's when they approved it. I hadn't got the paper.
And Callie?
Okay.
If you call out the War Pony request in committee, and if I get the requisite documentation and to give to Ms. Callan Watts and satisfy her concerns, you can amend it on the full council floor.
Ms. Ketchum?
I'm not saying we don't miss one or two, but when these check requests come over to our group in finance, I pull up this report from the council minutes to confirm that it's gone through the proper process. I or someone on the staff. So it's my understanding that we don't issue these checks until it has actually been approved by this body.
Okay.
My question is, we're towards the end of the fiscal year. If we don't do it today, then next month's too late for...
I think the discussion was that if it's added at full council as an amendment, then it could still be done in this fiscal year.
Okay. Okay.
And Doug just told me that he thinks some of these may actually have gone through, and I'll double check our process, but we shouldn't be issuing the checks until it's gone through the process.
Okay.
We discussed that in the orientation meeting about possibly changing the statute to review. But, if we're going to be operating within the environment where things get held for payment, then I'm not so sure simple review would accommodate that.
Okay. Next are law enforcement requests.
Was there a vote taken on that?
Yes, there was.
Okay.
I don't have a copy of it.
It's in your
It's
mod.
behind mod 11.
Behind your mod. It's
Oh, okay.
in your mod.
Got it. Oh, I should have made that clear. For the new council. Behind mod 11, behind my memo, a couple of pages back, before you get into the line item budgets.
It's memo.
First time in this process, this document here is where the assistant list is.
Move for approval.
Have a second?
There was a motion, wasn't there? Already on the table?
Yes, you did. Oh, I thought we already voted on that.
You mean on the
On the community assistance.
community assistance? We did vote, but then we had some discussion afterwards, after
Yeah.
the vote.
You said motion carried, and then Bill John raised his hand up. So he asked a question.
So what's changed from the motion that passed?
I'm looking to pass the law enforcement.
Your stay.
Okay, now the law enforcement, okay, I didn't realize we were on law enforcement now.
Yes.
Law
I
enforcement
missed that too.
does have one item that is not in your packet, and that is $1,115 contribution to Kansas Police Department out of District 5. From Ms. Shophouse before she left office. And that depleted her account.
$1,114.84.
Yes, sir. Is that on? Oh, it is.
Yeah, it's on there. It's the last
Yes,
one.
it's on
I
there.
didn't see it. Apologize.
That's all right.
I didn't see that one on there. I even wrote a big note.
Right.
No new law enforcement requests, right above it. If that is, what you do have is the only item.
Okay. I have a motion to accept. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Old business, there being none.
Mr. Chairman.
New business, yes.
At this time, I'd like to amend the agenda to, at administration's request, to set up the new subcommittee for political contributions so that the chairman can call a meeting pretty quick.
Second.
Okay. So all in favor of amending the agenda to include the Political Action Committee, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. That'll become item number 6. Okay, number 1 under new business, approval of the cemetery restoration assistance applications, which were in your packets that were sent out.
Yes, we need to amend the agenda.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
there's 2 in our district, in District 8, that I would like to table until next month. And I want to have the opportunity to go look at them because I don't believe they're being mowed, and I don't want to be spending any more money if this is not being taken care of. So I want to personally go look at the Chisholm Cemetery and the Spybuck Cemetery, which would be items 6 and 7, and table until next month.
Second.
Okay. All in favor of tabling the Chisholm and Spybuck until next month, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Yeah, let's get that.
Okay. District 1, the Barber Cemetery.
I move for approval at the 500, not the 3,000.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
District 2,
Mr. Chairman?
yes.
I would move for approval of the Cherokee Cemetery.
Second the motion.
Any discussion?
I just got to know, it's already been funded for this year, probably need to wait till next month.
Okay.
Next month? Okay. All right, I didn't realize it had been,
It has,
So, okay, you move the table till next month.
yeah, let's table it till next month. Will you do that, Don?
okay. All in favor of tabling Chocolate, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. District 5, the Rose Cemetery.
We don't have it. I don't have it.
It's
Road Cemetery.
Concord. It wasn't in your packet that was sent out?
In your packet.
Here it is,
Yes. Yeah, it's in the back.
It's in the back of all the, go through all the cemetery lists and find the actual grave.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
It says that it's Concord, it's, that's really Rao Cemetery, and it's 60 to 70% Cherokee, and it's Miss Nolan is the Secretary of Treasury. I'd move for its approval for $500.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Next is District 4, Wycliffe Cemetery.
There's none in this one.
Okay.
Do I hear a motion for the approval?
Chris, do you know what that is?
Twin Slide, Miss Babinoff.
Lanes County, requested by Norman J. Gifford.
I'll go ahead and move for approval, but it didn't come through me or Chris, so.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. District 8, Charlie Indian Cemetery.
I move for approval for the Charlie Indian Cemetery.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
District 9, Barbarino Cemetery.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I see a note here for District 2, the CHULIO Cemetery. Chulio. They have a application that came in late. I moved to amend the agenda to fund it.
The motion's been made to approve the agenda, or amend the agenda to add Julio Cemetery for District 2.
Yes, I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
I'd move to approve it for $500.
Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. Okay. Did you get that? Item 2 is discussion and possible action for funding of the Cemetery Assistance Program employee.
Move to table till next month.
Do we hear a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Item 2 is tabled. Item 3, the road project request.
Move to accept.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Item 4, the budget mod number 11 for today.
Okay, go through this real quick. There's $1.1 million of new grant funding in this month in this package, with about $362,000 of that being carryover adjustments and $760,000 in new awards, DHHS and USDA. Model 11 had 12 budgets for $1.68 million. General fund was $1.4 million of that. First item is the Constitutional Defense Fund for an additional $700,000. They've obligated $500 of the $520 for that budget. The Saline Courthouse has a slight increase in it for some grounds maintenance. I put a note in here regarding that the $175,000 is unobligated. You'll see in your packet there's a financial statement in there that shows that they have $175,000 they haven't obligated this year, but it's for CapEx. And I noted that it was for capital, for the renovation of the courthouse. And I assumed it was going to carry over into next year, and they do plan on asking for that carryover. The next two things, the Talentiski Courthouse and the number 5 item, Salsaw Creek Park, also have some ground maintenance increases in them. And I noted in there they could have, it appeared to me that they could have done line item reallocations and accommodated that. And did find out that in fact that can be done. However, these are general fund. They can line item reallocate it, spend the money. We can add it to the budget. They spend the money. Whatever they don't spend in their budget laps at 9/30. So it's really 6 and 1/2 dozen the other. It doesn't really matter. That's the reason I didn't recommend these get pulled out of this mod. The land development account is requesting almost $200,000 of an increase, and it has to do with moving the natural resource force account into this budget. We'll talk about it a little bit later, but that's the increase on that, and that's general fund. The motor vehicle tax fund has a $10,000 increase related to an IR, or an internal reimbursement, which is similar to a transfer for Mr. Martin, was donating his balance of his law enforcement funds over to the Marshal Service for a new K-9 unit. The tribal force account is a reduction of $150,000. That's where most of that increase on the land development I just mentioned. The internal lease fund is recognizing a transfer in it, no expenditure change. DOI has a $170,000 increase related to Sequoia's IDC shortfall. That's indirect cost funding from Department of Interior. That money is coming out of Sequoia High School's contract support funding under the self-governance fund. I'll talk about this later. Matter of fact, DOI self-governance fund has 2 increases, that being one of them I just mentioned. The other one is the forestry operation. It has an $86,000 of earmarked funding for forestry management plan, as well as some site prep and planting of trees on 25 additional acres. That's the mod package as it was submitted. However, with that, I would like with the chairman's indulgence, I'd like to offer a memo from the Treasurer's Office for consideration of 3 additional budgets. One is a higher education graduate scholarship. They're asking that the transfer go ahead and be formalized through this budget mod to transfer the funds out of where the dollars were originally appropriated a year ago and carried over into this year for the graduate students. This is the funds that, I know I've talked with several of you about this, but these are the dollars that the committee delegated the authority to the higher education department to determine where these funds were needed most and therefore be utilized, whether it be undergrad, graduates, or VOTEC. She's asking to go ahead and follow through with that. They were able to get the graduate, those 47 or 49 students taking K preparing, my understanding. 47. As well as one other budget that she's requested as a marshal service increase due to additional revenues that are being reimbursed out of C&E for an inter-program contract with C&E. And they've pretty much already earned that additional $300,000 increase. So they're asking for authority to spend what they've already earned. There's one other item I would like to bring up, Mr. Chairman, that is the Election Commission. Right now they're operating on about a $600,000 budget for a year. They've obligated most of that. They have a $26,000 balance. And when you take out the contract amount of that budget, which is pretty much consumed right now, and as far as automated election services and pollsters and watchers and their contracts with the workers, that's all in the system. What's not in the system right now is a couple of invoices left from their attorney that they're trying to figure out exactly how much that's going to be. In the meantime, they've got, out of that $26,000, a normal month's operating expenses, based on my calculations, is approximately $17,000 a month. That's going to leave them about $9,000 to finish up September, in addition to the normal operating budget. Well, that $9,000, I found out about an hour ago, about $5,000 of that is the month of August attorney bill. So there's going to be really close. And if you might want to, this is a general fund budget. What's not used just laps and goes back into the coffer for next year. But with maybe $10,000, she talked about 5 to 10. I talked with Callie, if you want to consider maybe putting $10,000 more into that budget, that way we don't let an independent board and commission actually violate an appropriation law. If you would consider that, it would be appreciated. And that's all I have on Model 11.
Any questions today?
Move to approve with the $10,000.
Excuse me, I think Dr. Cobb actually had a question earlier.
We need to have a motion to have discussion.
Okay. Okay, motion's been made and seconded that we approve it. Now for discussion, Dr. Cobb.
That the money for the graduate scholarships, as far as you are able to tell, I know that's not your department, does that fund all of the requests
My understanding it does.
that have been filed for education assistance? On time and complete, correct?
That was my understanding. This came about from the Education Committee discussion, and in that meeting, Dr. Morton reported that there were 47. Moving 50,000 from higher ed to the graduate covered those.
Okay, thanks.
And this just formalizes the action that was taken in that committee.
Okay. Ms. Watts?
Just to clarify my motion, it does include the other 3 items where we got the memo from Mr. Evans, in addition to the $10,000 for the election commission.
Okay. Ms. Jordan?
So just a point of clarification, the graduate scholarships was $50,000, the marshal service is $300,000, and the election service is $10,000.
Yes, and one point of interest would be that the graduate $50,000, you have to consider that twice, because there's a transfer out of a motor fuel tax fund into a general fund, or vice versa. So the transfer out is technically a use of funds. It's the way we define use of funds. So we have to legally provide to them the authority to take it out of here. And you also got to provide them the authority to actually write the $50,000 worth of checks. So transfers are double counted.
And we're adding all of those to Model 11.
Yes.
What we already
That means 4 riders to Model 11 as it's submitted before.
Okay. Any further discussion? Everyone in favor of approving motion? signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay, motion carried. Next, we have item number 5, a resolution authorizing development and submission of a 3-year plan for PL 102-477 program activities. Diane, you're presenting for Diane, right?
Well, yeah, I was going to ask Kim to come up and I'm sponsoring this, so anyway,
Okay.
the 3-year, but if Kim wants to talk about it.
What this is, basically, is every 3 years, we submit a plan to the Department of the Interior to operate our 102-477 program. And what that is where we have combined our WIA employment training program with our child care government block grant to operate a program.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussions or questions?
No campaign.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Item 6 is the Political Action Committee. We ask for your approval to set up a subcommittee for the Political Action Committee, and the chief normally sets the date of those, and anyone on the council is welcome to attend. Yes.
Mr. Chair, I would recommend that we go ahead and set the date for Tuesday, September 11th. I believe our committee should be done by 3 o'clock that day. We can always start late, but that way if it's early, we can get out of there. 3 o'clock? We're not on our new schedule, we're on the same schedule.
May I make a comment first? Once we have the full council meeting on September 10th, we likely would be doing away with the language, history, culture, and employment committees, and therefore there would be no committees for the afternoon of the 11th. And we had discussed with Doug the possibility of, instead of waiting for our budget hearings for Doug's presentation to begin at 9 o'clock on Wednesday, that we move it we were going to get to that point, but I wanted to clarify that and tell you that before we set the other
Typically,
day.
that subcommittee only takes about 30 minutes.
Okay.
So if we could just have it at 1, and maybe everybody else that didn't want to participate could come at 1:30 for budget hearings and go ahead and get that taken care of.
Okay, so you're making the motion that we set the PAC?
For Tuesday, September 11th at 1 o'clock, and then we can modify the E&F budget hearings to 1:30.
Okay, so the motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Is there any discussion?
I'm ready to go.
Okay.
Melanie, were you wanting it before the council meeting so that you could go ahead and get the money spent?
I don't think we have the time.
She mentioned the 11th or 12th. I think the money's been budgeted already, so it's existing appropriations. Just needs some decision making by the subcommittee to put it in action.
Okay, so 11th's fine.
I think so.
Okay. Fine with me.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, can we go ahead so that people declare their membership at this time?
Okay. Well, first we have the motion on the floor to meet at 1 o'clock. So,
But the members are going to vote on it, right?
No.
Like it's the
No.
subcommittee.
okay. Is there any further discussion on meeting at 1 o'clock on Tuesday, September 11th? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Now, who would like to be on the committee?
John,
So,
Janelle, China, John Garvin, Bill, Carol, and Brad, and Jack. Okay.
Madam Secretary, could you repeat?
I've got Councilman Bill John Baker, Bill Bright, Jordan, Garvin, Anglin, Watts, Cobb, and Jack Baker. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
and we can meet here in the legislative conference room at 1 o'clock.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Next is discussion on the budget hearings. We have, this is what I'm proposing, and I think Callie and Doug have both agreed to this, is that on the 10th, the day of the full council meeting, that we meet at 1 o'clock, and Callie will give her presentation, of the budget. And then, on the afternoon of the 11th, that we meet at 1:30, or, well, 2 o'clock, at either 1:30 or 2.
1:30 is fine.
1:30,
We can always be late.
okay. We'll meet at 1:30, and Doug will start his presentation. And also, the full tribal council meeting, we're proposing that we recess that, and when we conclude the other business, until Wednesday afternoon, the 13th. Or excuse me, the 12th, Wednesday afternoon, the 12th, at 5. And then if we're not finished, then we can meet and recess once again until Thursday. But Doug thinks he can finish his part in 8 hours or so. But that will give us a day and a half.
So am I understanding you correctly that your goal, you think you're going to be finished on Wednesday afternoon?
Yes.
That's not in stone, but you know.
Yeah, the thought behind that was if we were to finish Wednesday and you were recessed till Thursday, then if you recessed to Wednesday, you wouldn't have to come Thursday. And if we don't get finished, then no, we would just simply reconvene, recess for the next day.
Okay. Any discussion on the schedule? So that's 1 o'clock on the 10th. 1 o'clock on the 10th. At 1:30 on the 11th, to be continued on Wednesday. Okay. Any questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. Okay. And then the next regular Executive and Finance Committee meeting will be on September 27th at 3.
I just have a little reminder that for those of you who didn't get your individual pictures made, she's going to be here the day of council meeting on the 10th at 5 o'clock in the tribal council chamber. She's going to have it set up because we take our group picture that same day too. So you guys need to be ready to take your pictures, the group and individual.
Mr. Garvin.
Thank you. Is there any way we can change this meeting from September the 27th?
Until what date? Or what do you propose?
Next week.
Wait.
The when?
September
I'm
27th?
trying to put them all together.
It's going to have to be next.
Well, isn't that going to be discussed in full council?
Yeah.
And that'll be decided when we're going to have our committee meetings in full council on the night of the 10th. But in order to meet the 10-day requirement for posting the agendas and so forth, we had to stick with the schedule that's already
So I
here.
make a motion, next meeting will be subject to the council meeting proceedings.
Except for the budget hearings. The next one will be the budget hearings.
Second, with the friendly amendment.
I'm talking about the regular meeting. We can't say that right now. Is that what you're saying?
No, at
Right.
this time, it is scheduled for the 27th.
It is scheduled for the 27th.
Well, let's don't put it on 27th. Because
Well-
council's going to change it.
Well, they may or may not. We don't know that.
That's right.
And the discussion will be had until that night. So the date now is the 27th, and pending the full council changing it on the 10th.
Okay. How about that?
Okay. Any other announcements?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
The Government Relations Retreat Group, for those who can stay this evening, they're going to have a hog fry